Whether it's cars, comics, video games, or violins, there's a little geek in all of us. It's time to give your geek a voice. It's time for Geek Therapy. Here's your host, Johnny Hamburger.
Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. Like you just heard Eric mention, I am Johnny Hamburger, your mental curator for this evening, or this morning, or this afternoon. Whenever you're listening to my show, if you're not listening live, quote unquote, since I do pre-record these shows, but if you're not listening as it airs on KPRC 950 AM in Houston at 12:06 AM, you might be listening to the podcast. And as a matter of fact, a lot of you are listening to it on the podcast. And even a few of you are going onto YouTube to watch each show, because sometimes I've got cool things to show you that I can only show you with a video camera. And try as I might to tap a cool new cell phone or something like that, a cool new toy to the microphone, I cannot put in your brain what it actually looks like. I can describe to my heart's content all the cool features of whatever I'm talking about, but you really should go to the YouTube channel, Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube, and subscribe there to get the full geek experience. So, that being said, I do appreciate it. I've got lots of listeners listening to the podcast, and they're increasing each week. So I'm very pleased about that. Thank you very much. Whatever you're using to listen to the podcasts, whether it's iTunes, which is super easy, the iHeartRadio app, which is super easy, Spreaker, it's super easy. I have an app on my Android called Pocket Casts, and that's how I listen to podcasts. So I have, Black Coffee Radio on there. I have What's on Tap Radio on there. I have all sorts of shows on there. Trailer Park Boys podcast, Mark Maron, who else? The Nerdist. I've got all those podcasts, and that's what I use to subscribe to podcasts. Whatever you're using, whatever app you're using, whatever your program you're using to listen to Geek Therapy Radio podcast, be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow it so that you get the notifications each week as the new Geek Therapy Radios come to your device. Anyways, I've got kind of a neat show lined up. It is a neat show. It's not kind of. I'm just going to tell you, it's not subjective. It is going to be an awesome show, and I'm going to start right off. Actually, first, let me tease you a little bit. At the end of the show, at the last segment, I'm going to end the show with some music from a local musician, and I hope to do that continuing on in the future, to showcase a lot of music from my listeners. So, if you are a musician, if you record music, then get at me. Send me an email, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. You can also let me know on Facebook. That's a really cool way to do it. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. You can go to my website, geektherapyradio.com, and contact me through there. But honestly, the easiest way is Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. So if you're a musician and you want your music showcased on my show, get lots of ears listening, lots of eyes looking on YouTube, even though if you don't have a music video, they're not going to see much. But anyways, I will put your song all over the place because it goes on the end of my show, and you will get all the more exposure, and I will be super excited to help you out in that way and hear what my listeners are making. I should do a show, or at least a segment. No, I'm going to do a show sometime entirely devoted to home recording. So if you're a musician and you're struggling with how come my recordings don't sound like professional recordings, what's the difference? What am I doing wrong? I'm going to do a whole show about that. Mic placement, EQing, compression, also, everything, mastering, all of that to help you get the most out of your equipment. And I'm going to do a little tease right now. You do not need thousands of dollars worth of equipment to sound professional. What you need first and foremost is talent and practice. That's going to get you 99.999% there. You can make amazing recordings in your bedroom or your living room with $200 worth of recording equipment and some old off-lease office Dell single-core Pentium 4 computer with 2 gigs of RAM that you can probably get for free at the dump. those computers are laying around everywhere. All I'm saying is you don't need much hardware to make good recordings. $100 interface, if that. $100 condenser microphone, if that. And any computer ever with a USB port. And some recording software, Audacity, Cakewalk Sonar. I say Audacity because Audacity's free. Cakewalk Sonar, Pro Tools. If you buy an audio interface for $100, it's going to come with software. It's going to come probably with Pro Tools or maybe a free version of Sonar or whatever. Reaper. There's a whole bunch of different recording softwares out there. But I'll do a show about how to get the most out of whatever recording equipment you have because it's about basics. It's about fundamentals. So if you have the talent and the passion and then you know the fundamentals, you can make great professional sounding recordings. So maybe you're there. Maybe you're one of those artists. Maybe you're a musician out there who wants to have your music showcased on my show. I'd love to do that. Go hit up Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. And while you're there, like the page. Don't just come drop off your music, which would be great, but also like the page. I would love to showcase music. So at the end of the show, I'm going to showcase a song from a local musician. His name is, Jyme, Jyme. His real name is James, but he has an album out there named Booster, and I'm going to get into all that information in the last segment. Let me touch on something, because I wanted to actually get into a ridiculous topic here in the first segment of Geek Therapy Radio, and that is Dubai. You all know that city in the Middle East. Dubai is a crazy city, just absolutely run by insane people, especially the Dubai Police Department. The Dubai police, their patrol cars are Bentleys, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Mercedes SLSs, very fast 200-mile-per-hour cars. And you might think that seems a little ridiculous, and it kind of is. But Dubai is a very, very, very wealthy city, and lots of people drive very fast cars. So, unfortunately, V8 Crown Victoria is not going to cut it. Or an Interceptor, or any of the usual American police cars can't keep up with a Lambo. So you need a Lambo to keep up with a Lamborghini, and that's what Dubai has. So it should come as relatively no surprise that the Dubai Police Department is going to start using hoverbikes to do patrols. A hoverbike is basically a quadcopter that a human being sits on. It is ridiculous. They are going to use the HoverSurf Scorpion 3s. Now, I suspect that this is purely a publicity stunt. It is far too dangerous. This technology is not proven. It's still in the prototype phase. It has not been tested and made safe and certified by any government, by any organization, but Dubai is demonstrating that they are going to use hoverbikes to do patrols. This will end badly. How can it not end badly? You are basically sitting in the middle of 4 blenders with your nice, meaty legs. Prime targets for getting juiced. You know when you push a carrot or a piece of celery down in a juicer? That's what's going to happen to some police legs in Dubai. Unfortunately. I hope not. That's getting your legs cut off by the rotors are really the least of your worries flying around a hover bike. The biggest worry is the danger to the public. These blades are exposed, so you cannot just be cruising behind someone on a sidewalk because chop chop. That's going to not end well. But again, I suspect this is all just a publicity stunt, just get more attention on Dubai, which we could go on an entire segment of how ridiculous and unethical the very existence of Dubai is. In a nutshell, built by Indian slaves. Cost many Indian slaves their lives. Indian slaves from India and other places, but mainly India. That's how Dubai went from being a strip of desert into one of the most powerful, most affluent cities on the face of the planet. Dubai scares me. How quickly it was built scares me. Anyways, that's it for this segment of Geek Therapy Radio. We'll be right back with more tantalizing topics. Why I want a crow as a pet. Why the new Microsoft Surface Book 2 is both awesome and stupid at the same time. And I don't suggest, well, I'm not going to say I don't suggest anyone buy it. It's really dumb. So we're going to talk about that. DJI is going to start tracking drones now. Why the new Aston Martin DB11 is dumb. Is both cool and dumb, kind of like the Surface Book 2. But we'll get into that. Stay here right now for Geek Therapy Radio, which is coming up after the next couple of commercials. What a horrible outro. If you're watching on YouTube or you're listening to the podcast, you're not going to hear any commercials right now. We'll be right back instantly. So stick around. More Geek Therapy Radio to come. I'm Johnny Hamburger. Do not change that dial. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm still your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger. For whatever time of the day you're listening to Geek Therapy Radio, whether it's at night, whether it's in the middle of the afternoon or the morning, or you're taking me in the shower with you. As I mentioned last week, it's a good place to listen to me. Put your phone on your toilet, or get yourself a Bluetooth speaker or a shower speaker. Take me in the shower with you. Don't forget behind your ears. This segment is going to be unofficially about technology that is both awesome and stupid. Or let's be more specific, about products that are both awesome and stupid at the same time. And I'm going to start it off with the new Aston Martin DB11. Is it the Volante? Yep, the new Aston Martin DB11 Volante. They've made it a convertible. It's a convertible. And here's the thing about it. It cost $350,000. $350,000 for an Aston Martin. And I know, just bear with me, I know that doesn't sound so ridiculous because it's not uncommon for a supercar to cost $350,000. But here's why I argue that the Aston Martin, while it is simply one of the most beautiful vehicles ever, Astons are awesome. James Bond drives Astons. Astons are wonderful cars. The old DB7s and DB5, oh my gosh. The vintage ones, pardon my French, but they are sex on four wheels. They are very sexy cars. They look amazing. Those old DB7s, woo! They are amazing. Okay, so the DB11 V12 goes 200 miles an hour. It looks really good. But here's why I struggle with that $350,000 mark. And it's not because in 5 years it's going to be $100,000. It's going to lose $250,000 or more. It's definitely going to lose $300,000 over the next 10 years, I would say. It's not the depreciation. It's not the fact that you'll never buy this car as an investment. Ever. It is not going to appreciate. It's not going to make you any money. But the type of person buying this car doesn't care about that anyways. So that's not even my argument. My argument with this is it doesn't look like it costs $350,000. When you buy a $350,000 Lamborghini or Ferrari or McLaren, it looks outlandish. It looks like it costs $350,000. The Aston Martin, while beautiful and while it is the James Bond car, looks like a freaking Ford Fusion. It looks like a sexy Ford Fusion. That's it. But the bottom line is, there are design elements that Ford uses because Ford owns Aston Martin. Remember that. There's design elements that Ford uses in the Aston Martin that it also uses in the Ford Fusion, and arguably the Mustang as well. So when I'm buying a $350,000 car, I don't want it to look like a $25,000 car at all. If I'm dropping $350K, it better look like a freaking rocket ship. And the Aston Martin, while sexy, does not look like a $350,000 car. I'm not the one to want to drive and gloat about the fact that I was able to buy a $350,000 car, which I am not, and I will likely never be. I hope I have that problem of not being a hypocrite. I hope I have the problem of avoiding being a hypocrite, having the money to buy a $350,000 car. But all I'm saying, that's all I'm saying is, if I was one to buy a $350,000 car, it better look like $350,000. It better not look like a $25,000 Ford. And that's the problem I have with the Aston Martin DB11. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely stunning. But it just looks like a really sexy Ford Fusion. Is that worth $350K? Not to me. So, that's an example of something that is both awesome and stupid. A product that is awesome, but also stupid, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Go to Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook and tell me what you think about the Aston Martin DB11. Or if you're watching on YouTube, comment below. What do you think about the Aston Martin DB11? Do you think it looks like it's worth $350K? I would argue that it does not. But that's just my opinion. And we're all about opinions here in Geek Therapy Radio. So if you're a car geek, tell me what your opinion of the Aston Martin DB11 is. Is it worth? Does it look like it's worth $350,000? I argue that it does not. The next product that is both awesome and stupid is the new Microsoft Surface Book 2. Several episodes ago, I ripped on the Microsoft Surface line of products. I've got a Microsoft Surface 2 in my backpack over there. Let me get it real quick. I'm going to yell so you can still hear me in the microphone. I've got a Microsoft Surface 2 that I like. The reason why I like it is because I got it cheap. You know, it's a good little tablet Windows 10 PC. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a 256 gigabyte M.2 SSD in there. It's a good, solid product. I got it really cheap a few years ago because I got it refurbished or used or something like that. But here's why I don't like the current offerings of Surfaces. They are awesome. They look great. They are solid devices. The top tier Surface Book 2 comes with an NVIDIA GTX 1060. That's the full 6 gigabyte version, which I have in my laptop back here. My MSI GS43 VR. Awesome laptop. The GTX 1060 in a laptop is amazing. The Surface Book 2 also comes with a quad-core i7. Just like my laptop back here, just like my GS43 VR, has the same specs. Let's just say it's comparable. The specs, the hardware is the same between my GS43 VR and the Surface Book 2. Both GTX 1060s, both quad-core i7s. Mine's a 6700 HQ. I think the new one is a 7700 HQ. Maybe 3% of a performance difference from the 6700 HQ to the 7700 HQ. Here's the difference, though. That GS43 VR I got for, I'll just say it, $1,200. Worth every penny at $1,200. I thought that was a very fair price for how beast mode that is and how much I use that laptop every single day. All of these YouTube videos you see, all of these geek therapies, I mix in Cakewalk Sonar and I edit in Sony Vegas 13 on that laptop. all of it. I do all my work on that laptop. So $1,200 is great. It's worth it to me. I do all my gaming on there as well. GTX 1060, why not? It's great for gaming. $1,200, that laptop. The Microsoft Surface Book 2, which has the same specs as that laptop, over $3,000. That is way more than twice. That's almost 3 times as much as that laptop costs behind me for the same hardware, the same performance. And I wouldn't even say the same performance. Surface Books are known for overheating. When you get that small and thin and sexy with a laptop, heat buildup is an issue. That laptop keeps the processor throttled when you're really gaming, when you're really going hard at like 3.1 gigahertz, which is fine. It's acceptable. I think max turbo boost is like 3.4 gigahertz on a single thread. So running at 3.1 gigahertz is nice and stable and no problem. There's no way you're going to be throttling you can't type a Word document on that Surface Book 2 without thermal throttling, I bet. It's probably not going to be that bad, but it's kind of ridiculous. Though those specs, GTX 1060 and Core i7, not worth $3,000. No way, Jose. And we'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. That's all I wanted to say this segment was those products that are both awesome and stupid at the same time. Let me know in the comments below, wherever you're listening, on Cakebook or whatever. Facebook or wherever you're listening. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Surface Pro or the Surface Book 2? Do you think it's worth $3,000? I don't think so. We'll be right back. More Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hamburger, your mental curator. Stick around just a few minutes. Unless you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, it's going to be instant. We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio.
Doing it right, everybody will be dancing and we're feeling it right. Everybody will be dancing and be doing it right. Everybody will be dancing and we're feeling alright. Everybody will be dancing tonight, doing it right.
Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm so happy that you've continued to join me this evening, especially if you're listening on the radio, which you should because it's romantic and my voice is extra nice on AM radio. KPRC 950 AM in Houston at 12:06 Sunday mornings, or as I like to say, Saturday night, baby. While you're going to and from different parties in Sitch, you can turn on KPRC 950 AM and get your geek fix. Listen to me talk about technology and be silly and be dumb. Earlier this week, I posted on KPRC 950's Insta, IG, Instagram. Okay, I'm done with that. I posted me tinkering with my Commodore 64. And I typed in, I was right there in BASIC. I just flipped it on. I'm right there at the prompt, ready to have my fun with my Commodore 64. So I typed in the command FART and I hit enter. Syntax error. Oh well, crazy how nature do that. What I wanted to talk about in this segment was not typing fart into a Commodore 64, although it yielded expected results. DJI is working on a new drone tracking service for law enforcement and local authorities. It's called DJI Aeroscope, and it identifies and keeps track of drones while they're in flight. Last year, or was it 2 years ago, the FAA, the U.S. government, said that drone owners, if you owned a drone over, how many grams? Quarter of a pound. If you owned a drone over a certain weight, you had to register it with the FAA. So I had to register with the FAA my DJI Phantom 3. I've got a serial number on it and everything. Now, recently, the courts have ruled that is unconstitutional. So you are no longer in the United States required to register your drone with the FAA, much to the delight of many RC enthusiasts. Now, I did feel bad for the RC aircraft enthusiast, hobbyist, who has been flying helicopters and airplanes for 30, 40 years and never had government intervention with their hobby. Like I said before, flying RC helicopters is darn near impossible, takes lots of skill. Flying RC airplanes is anywhere from beginner level to extremely advanced. Either way, it's a relatively niche group of individuals. It's not really a small community. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of RC aircraft enthusiasts. But the bottom line is, Uncle Sam never had to step in and regulate any of it. Uncle Sam did step in and start regulating drone use. And if you think it's bad in the United States, which is not, try flying a drone in Europe. It's almost impossible. They have so many laws in Europe against flying drones that if you bought a DJI in Europe, have fun in your backyard or going out in the countryside and doing it, whatever. You could still have lots of fun with it, but you can't go flying around willy-nilly in Europe. Like, it's almost impossible to do so. It's illegal in so many places. And they have their reasons, which, I agree with somewhat. But DJI is working on this aeroscope technology. And they're giving it to authorities and civil authorities to track what you are doing with your drone. And I want your opinions on this. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. Anywhere there's Geek Therapy Radio with a comment section, maybe this podcast you're listening to on Spreaker, or can you leave comments on iTunes? I think you can. Anywhere you're listening to the podcast where you can leave comments under the podcast, let me know. But Geek Therapy Radio Facebook's the easiest way to do it. Just be sure to subscribe and like the Facebook or the YouTube. Anyways, let me know there what you think about this. On the one hand, as a red-blooded American, how dare Uncle Sam infringe upon my hobby? How dare he do that? That twinges my person. It's like my personal space. This is my drone. It's not yours. It's mine. What I do with it is my own private business. On the other hand, these drones are available to every idiot with $1,000. And there are a lot of dumb people who can scrounge up $1,000. And you know what they do with those drones? They go to the end of an airport runway and watch planes landing from 100 feet away. Morons. Those people should be arrested and put in jail, just like the stupid idiots who shine laser beams at pilots. It's a felony. Flying your drone around airports is a felony. You shouldn't be able to get that close to an airport with your drone, or buzz over a concert crowd, or do anything else dangerous with it. So in that regard, I say that in Houston, NRG Stadium, which I have flown around with my drone, not during game time, but 4 a.m. I have stayed about a quarter mile away from the stadium and did a little fly around. I think it would be great for a venue like NRG Stadium with an open roof and 50,000 people inside, 70,000 people inside, whatever, if the stadium had the ability to track drones in its airspace. In other words, if I wanted to be stupid and fly my drone over a Texans game, authorities around NRG Stadium should be able to see my drone enter the airspace and get all the telemetry and the serial number of my drone and who it's registered to, me, and give me a ticket for doing so. I do not object to that. Or any other airport. Prime example, airports should use DJI Aeroscope to see what drones are flying too close to the airport. I am 100% in support of that. Because like I said a few minutes ago, too many dummies get these drones. They are marketed towards anybody. They market these things to say it's so easy to fly, anybody can do it. Should everybody do it? Does everybody have that little inhibitor chip in their brain that says, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this stupid thing with my drone. Maybe I shouldn't do this inherently dangerous thing with my drone. And the answer is no. Lots of people who buy drones do not have that kind of self-control, self-awareness, brains to exercise due diligence and responsibility flying a drone. So, places like stadiums, airports, big concert venues, something like that, sure, give the ability to authorities to track all the drones flying around the airspace. Because here's what happens to drones sometimes. Very rarely, but sometimes. The batteries in DJI Phantoms, the drone itself weighs almost nothing. It's super light, but those lithium-ion batteries weigh a lot. Weigh a pound, pound and a half. Even if they're a half a pound, those are still very heavy. And if it falls out of the sky from 400 feet, let's say the drone operator is being responsible and they're keeping it at the FAA law 400 feet. If that battery somehow slips out of that drone, you have a literal brick, literally a brick falling from 400 feet in the air. That will kill somebody. That's not just going to injure somebody. That will kill somebody. So yes, although that is a super rare occurrence, and honestly, I have not ever heard of that happening. I'm sure if I did the little Google search on it, I would find cases of it. Let's say the entire drone hits a bird or something, or hits another drone and is disabled and starts falling out of the sky. That will hurt somebody, and that will damage property. I don't think a DJI Phantom 3 or 4, those big quadcopters, I don't think that's going to kill anybody. The terminal velocity of that thing isn't going to be enough to kill somebody. But if the battery comes out, that will reach terminal velocity that's high enough with enough mass and inertia to completely crush someone's skull like a grapefruit under an 18-wheeler tire. That's what's going to happen. So yes, around sensitive areas, sensitive quote-unquote soft targets, absolutely employ this DJI aerospace technology to keep track of drones in that soft target airspace. 100% agree with that in that regard. But like I said earlier, my counterpoint is I don't like the government watching what I do. But I think it's okay if we find a balance. If I'm flying my drone around the park or my backyard or my neighborhood or something like that, there's no reason for the government to be monitoring what I'm doing. And there's no way they could. Yes, they can because of the GPS. But as long as they're not watching what I'm doing, privately, that's okay. But if I'm an idiot and decide to fly into an airspace that's using this aeroscope technology, flying over a stadium, using this technology, and they want to use that technology to keep track of what I'm doing, fine. And that's not even to say that just because they pick you up, in this aeroscope radar, that means you're automatically doing something illegal, because you're not. Let's say, again, NRG Stadium, and I'm flying a mile away from the stadium. I'm not doing anything illegal. Just because they see me on there doesn't mean they can, give me a ticket or anything like that. But if I get too close to the perimeter, if I go past the perimeter, ticket. Although I think built into this technology would be a geofence, an invisible GPS fence that you're going to fly your drone up to, and it's just going to stop. It's not going to be able to penetrate that virtual bubble around the soft target. That's all I want to talk about this segment on Geek Therapy Radio. What do you think? Go to Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram, Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube, and type in the comments, what do you think about DJI's aeroscope technology? Let me know. And again, another call to musicians. Leave me links to your music so that I can showcase your music on my show. I'm Johnny Hamburger. We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. This episode is awesome so far this week. I love talking about all this stuff. I'm going to come back and talk about how I want a pet crow, because crows are cute and crows are smart. They're like flying puppies. And a group of crows on the ground is called a murder. Did you know that? Well, that's true. I'm Johnny Hamburger. We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. Stick around. Take this opportunity to go like all the social media and follow the Instagram and the Facebook and the YouTube. And of course, I keep saying that ad nauseum. Just do it and I'll stop saying it. That's not true. I'll keep saying it. We'll be right back. More Geek Therapy Radio. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hamburger, still your mental curator. And, I wanted to touch on something real quick before we get into why I want a crow as a pet and why crows are so awesome. Quick story. I'm reading here on Ars Technica. The first floating wind farm is built by an offshore oil company, starts delivering electricity. Basically, an oil company set up a wind farm out in the ocean to generate electricity. And why is this such a surprise? What? An oil company? Why is an oil company getting into green energy? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why companies like Exxon and Chevron and Shell and I don't know who owns who and what's all the same company, whatever. Here's why oil companies are the biggest investors in renewable energy and green energy. Because these companies aren't actually oil companies. They're energy companies. They sell energy. And currently, oil has been, for the past 100 years or so, whatever, oil has been the most lucrative and easiest, I'm using lots of air quotes, easiest way to get energy to customers. So let's use Chevron, for example. Chevron isn't an oil company per se. They are a company that sells energy to customers. So, of course, companies like Chevron are going to invest billions upon billions of dollars into green energy, into renewable energy, into solar, into wind, into geothermal, because Chevron wants to sell you energy. They don't care if it's oil. They don't care if it's wind. They don't care if it's solar. They want to make money selling you energy. So this is not a shock. An oil company makes a wind farm that starts delivering electricity. Well, because they're not really oil companies. They're energy companies. So hippies, start seeing the forest for the trees. Start looking a little deeper into the grand scope of things. Nobody is trying to kill the planet. People are trying to make money. And if they can make money with green energy, that's what they're going to do. And that's why companies like Chevron are investing billions into green energy. It's not a surprise that an oil company, quote unquote, builds an offshore wind farm. That's just the progression of things. Do not get in the way of progress. Where have we heard that? Anyways, crows. Crows are very smart little critters. Crows are like flying puppies. And they're very smart, and they are capable of being little buttholes because they're very smart, and they mess with people, they mess with cats, they mess with dogs. And just like apes, they know how to use tools to get food. But here's this thing about crows. We're studying now that crows use tools in applications where there's no reward. In other words, they will use a stick for an application that does not get them any benefit towards their survival. It doesn't get them food. It doesn't build them shelter. They'll just, for instance, there's a viral video of a crow sliding down a snowy roof on a what do you call it? A fast food cup lid. Why can't I think of it? Like a styrofoam cup lid, the plastic lid of a styrofoam cup. The crow is having a gay old time sliding down the snow like a sled on this plastic cup lid. Now the crow goes around and he tries different areas of the roof that don't have as much snow or whatever, and he's figured out, there's more friction over here. I can't slide down over here as easily as I can on the snow. So the crow is figuring out, and it's learning about friction and slipperiness. So crows are truly fascinating creatures. People want parrots and whatnot because they're very smart. Here's the thing about a parrot, though, that a lot of people unfortunately don't realize is that they live for a long time. 60, 70, 80 years. And they are loud and they are messy. But the main thing is that they live for so long. People are used to, getting a puppy. Puppy lives 12 years, it dies, you get a new animal. People get these parrots, these baby parrots. They don't realize that that's a lifelong commitment. So unfortunately, there's lots of parrots that get bought, get enjoyed for a couple years, or people don't know what they're getting into. And unfortunately, there's just a big homeless population of parrots. So don't go getting a bird, a parrot, like it's just going to be some pet that you can enjoy and it's going to die in the next decade or so. That's not how parrots operate. They live for the rest of your life is how long parrots live. So crows are kind of ugly. Are crows the same thing as ravens? I'm not sure. Anyways, crows, they might be a little ugly. They might have horrible voices, but so do parrots. Cockatiels have horrible voices. But I don't know. They seem like snuggly flying puppies, and they're very smart, and I wouldn't worry about having a crow with a cat because I think the crow would be the one to drive the cat insane. I don't think the cat would be able to catch the crow. Don't test that. Don't say, Johnny, you told me to get a crow and my cat ate the crow. No, I didn't do anything. Don't put birds and cats together. But my cat would never. Yes, it would. My girlfriend Sarah's cat would never because it's a fat lard that can barely move and has a broken gimp leg. I'm sorry, Sarah. Jack is wonderful. In his own special way. All right. Now to the end of the show. I said I was going to play a song from my very good friend Jyme, whose real name is James. But if you want to find his music online, just type Jyme.club, which is JYME.club. That's JYME.club. I'll put the link all over Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all that, so you can go listen to his album. And on the way out, I'm going to play my favorite song off the album called Nebulas and Us. It is just a beautiful song. And a little bit behind background on James, he's the best actor that I've ever seen in real life. Like, he is an amazing freaking thespian. Just astonishing actor. And he also does music. So take care, my geeks. Enjoy this song on the way out. Let it put you into a space of acceptance of yourself, I guess, because you really should accept yourselves. You should embrace your geek thing. Don't run away from your geek thing thinking that, my geek thing makes me such a nerd. No one's going to like me. Yes, they are. So embrace your geek thing. Embrace yourself. Love yourself. Like I said, play with those Legos. A friend of mine said she's going to go get Legos this week and wear a robe and play with Legos. Heck yeah, do that. Go fly your RC airplanes around, your helicopters, your drones. Go have fun with all your hobbies. Paint, make music, sew, knit, whatever you do, whatever your geek thing is. Working on cars, go looking at classic cars, go do that. And on the way out, know that I love you. Let the song sink in. Let it take you away. This is Nebulas in Us by Jyme off the album Booster. And I'll see you next week here on Geek Therapy Radio. Johnny Hamburger signing off. Take care, my geeks.
Call on me when you need a peace of mind and you find it hard to find outside.